and we had a chat, and he basically said, you've got some options here. First off, he said, the left one all went well. It's open, flowing great, the left jugular vein. He said, the right one, however, just no way is it staying open, and we're having a real difficult time with this. So your options are A, we put a stent in there, or B, we do surgery, which you're traveling into pretty muddy waters when you get into surgery on jugular veins up in that area. Or he said, we can do nothing. And I said, oh, well, if we do nothing, I might as well just stay in Canada, right? But so anyways, that led me to another date a couple days later, after a gentleman flew in from Guadalajara, Mexico, the mainland, with some supplies, my stent being one of them, along with other supplies for the clinic. And so a couple of days later, I found myself back into the cath room, the surgery room at the hospital, and we proceeded to tackle after I might add, the World Cup soccer game, which they had to put it off till after that. But so they put the stent into my right jugular vein, and all went well. It opened it up, flowing was great, and that procedure probably took no more than a couple of hours. And that was it for my surgery, and I basically recovered a little bit in the hospital for maybe a half hour until my brother showed up, and off we went back to our resort, which was really quite nice, I might say. I'd love to go back under different circumstances with perhaps a brunette instead of my brother, but we'll see what the future holds on that one. But yeah, so where was I? Who needs a cast of Seinfeld when you got me, right? Wait till I hand it over to Bob. But yeah, and it was like everyone else has said, you know, a bit of a costly procedure, but you can't take it to your grave, and God help if you get cremated. So yeah. I am feeling wonderful, as always, unfortunately. Well, that is fortunately, I should say. But I've never, ever suffered with any conditions of fatigue or brain fog, no pain issues. So my biggest issue is that I'm the only one at this table in a power chair, essentially. So that's my biggest problem. I'm just physically not real mobile. I do lots of exercise. I'm really big, as Betty had said, on nutritional supplements. I have not done any hard-hitting drugs, you know, i.e. the ABC drugs. Otherwise, I guess I'm a reasonably healthy guy. It's just, I feel great, no pain, just can't get up and dance. But, I mean, again, as Valerie indicated, you know, this could take, as she said, up to a year. I was told, you know, you might be going as long as 5 to 6 months before you get any kind of a significant improvements. I mean, the biggest improvement I got right off the hop was when they put this stent in my right jugular vein. I felt like I just took about a 500 milligram hit of B3 niacin, so my body felt like it was on fire, which is a good thing. So you've got the circulation going, and yeah, and my swelling in my feet have really subsided. I used to have fairly swollen feet, kind of puffy, swollen almost, and that certainly has been an immediate thing that I've witnessed. But, you know, I'm waiting to see what the future is going to bring me. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to Bob, and he can...
Thank you very much, BJ. And his Mexican counterpart here is Bob. Don't call me Robert.
That's right, and don't forget that. But my name is Robert Fraser. I was in as part of one of 10 people in Los Cabos, Mexico, doing the clinical trial for the CCSVI under the tutelage of Dr. Rafael Moguel. It was a fantastic trip. I can't begin to tell you. It was the care and compassion which we felt by the staff there was immeasurable. Before I went, I'm 50 years old, single. Available. And I was diagnosed in 2008 with PPMS, or primary progressive MS. For some of the people who know me, and I know that there's a few here, they saw my rapidly decline before my venture. I was very lucky to have obtained this clinical trial. I still can't believe it at times. And the amount that I've felt since then, and since my return to Canada, my treatment was on June 14th, has been almost like a rebirth. I was diagnosed when I was 49, and I feel like I've been reborn at 50. It has really been utterly profound. Part of what the benefits which I've received so far is that my balance is vastly improved. As a matter of fact, I'm able to ride my bike again. I hadn't been able to ride it in a couple of years. My speech has improved. My vision has improved. As you'll see, I'm not wearing my glasses to look at you. I still need them to read. You can still send me dirty notes and I won't know what you're saying. I have no more headaches. Those are completely gone. I have no more pain in the right side of my neck. That is completely gone. My feet are no longer cold. They are warm again. They haven't been warm like that in years. And no, when I say cold feet, no, that was a bit of a shock when you're lying in bed there and you accidentally touch yourself. I'm like, oh, my feet are cold. Now, I'll put that to you again. I'm single, so you don't have to worry about the cold feet in bed. Okay. I had it was an almost 80% constriction in my right jugular, which was causing the pain in the neck there, which I had. And I have not had to have any stents. I was angioplastied all the way through. There were other constrictions, but not as bad. The benefits which I've gotten, like as I said, have been profound. And through my research in this post my event has been that anyone who has had the treatment, no matter how severe their MS, have all received some sort of benefit. Even if it's just warm feet, it's a benefit. Now, the one thing which I want to stress, and I really mean this, I'm quite sincere, is that no matter what you read in the newspapers or on the internet in particular, CCSVI is not a cure for MS. It was never stated to be a cure. Dr. Zamboni, when he popped out with this, had said it is not a cure, it requires further study. And it's a brand new avenue, it's an open door. So please don't be thinking that, oh, well, great, I'll go and have an angioplasty and I'll be walking and running and so on and so forth, because you won't. Or you may not be. You might be, but you might not be. The other thing, and with that goes as well, what your expectations are. If you go for treatment, and I really encourage you to, if you can, if you go, don't go with a list of expectations about things which you can do. Because you might only be disappointing yourself. You have to look at fulfilling yourself and the abilities that you foresee that you are going to get better in some respect. Now, if anything, of all the research which I've done, no one has gotten worse. Not all of them have gotten radically better, but no one has gotten worse. Primary progressive, which is the top which I have, is listed out. If you look at a scale, it just gets worse. Throughout, in 2 years, I would probably be like BJ. What this treatment did for me was that it just proved that textbook a lie, because it turned me around. So it's something that which the textbook said could never happen, but it did. Well, I guess stubbornness goes a little way. Anyway, Los Cabos was a fantastic place to visit. I am going back in February for a checkup. I've since had an online checkup by the neurologist there. And we keep in tabs of what my progress is and how it's going. So, without any further ado, I'm going to pass you on to Sandra, and she's going to talk you through. And remember, I'm single.
Thank you, Robert. Bob. I'm bringing it back home to North America. I guess I was, well, maybe not in terms of nautical miles, the closest to Victoria, because I went all the way to Albany, New York to be treated. And I had the privilege of having July 7th, 2010 as my second birthday. And I was diagnosed in 1992, but I've really had symptoms for approximately 31 years. I am on the cusp of secondary progressive, being relapsing remitting all my life, or I will say it, all my life. And next slide, please, Landon. The first thing I did is I did go to False Creek and have an MRV and a Doppler on March 2nd, and my experience there was a slam dunk. 4 different doctors looked at my Doppler and my MRV, and they all told me I had a significant stenosis on the left-hand side. So I had no doubts that I had problems. But, I agree totally with everyone on the panel, because only at the point of venogram do you really find out what your problems are. And I'll tell you what, how my diagnosis differed, the one that I got through the Doppler and the MRV, and what they found on the table. So that's a picture of me on the inside. So next slide, please. This is the diagnosis that was done by the 4th doctor, which is Dr. Hakey. You may have heard of him. He's at the forefront of MRI and MS imaging. He took a look at the scans that were done at False Creek, and he did what's called a flow quantification report. And he showed me that my left jugular vein at one point in my neck was almost non-existent. On the little gray square there in the bottom left, actually on the right-hand side of that gray square, that little yellow, Landon's pointing to it, the yellow circle, that's supposed to be exactly the same as the right one, which kind of looks like a large black dot. The black is the blood flowing through it. As you know, when you lie down, your jugular veins are in full production and emptying your brain. Well, my left jugular vein faded off to absolutely nothing at that point. And you can see the flow quantification report on the lower. The amount of blood going through my left jugular vein was significantly less, being the bottom right red line, significantly less than what was flowing through my right. And again, this is when I'm lying down and things should be flowing full force out of my brain. Okay, next slide. This is the diagnosis that was done at the point of venogram.